Just for everybody's information and for YouTube's information, I have to say that these people are brave warriors who are coming out. We are protected by copyright and also the Whistleblower Act in most countries. So please understand that we are doing this out of our own protection, and please support these former admins and listen to our stories. We are told to not do certain things, and these people will repeat a lot of the same things. Thank you for understanding. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Whistleblowers. I have the amazing Fancy with me. Fancy is an ex admin of Furry Valley. He was banned, and he'll explain what happened with his side of the story because Furry Valley is very good about hiding evidence of what really happened behind the scenes with what happened with Fancy. Obviously, we're both going to talk about Dark Fox because, he has more information than me, and again, Fancy is also another miner who is also part of the server. Again, I'm going to be asking him about the allegations and all this stuff. So, thank you, Fancy, for taking the time to tell your experience. Okay, thank you so much, Fancy. Now, can you please tell us your lovely experience of Furry Valley?
All right. So I joined Furry Valley around December of 2020, and at first it seemed like a wonderful, loving place that was like, oh, we'll be your family because obviously your families hate you, and we'll be your best friends. Nothing will ever go wrong here. And I mean, for a while it seemed to be like great. Everything was fine. That was until I became an admin. Um, so when I became an admin. mm, right off the bat, I was already threatened to get kicked out by Simba on like the first day, or well, the first couple of days. I get a message and he's like, "Did you screw this up?" And imagine that in the British voice. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, Bruce said you screwed this up, and it's your fault. And if you don't fix it, I'm gonna remove you already." And I'm just like, "Okay, but I didn't do that." So that was like the first sign of like the first red flag I should have noticed, but I never really took any
Mm-hmm.
notice to it.
I I can agree with you with the red flag thing. My first red flag, which should have been clear, was them mocking me about my spelling issues, which hopefully you have witnessed that.
Yeah,
And
I have.
it's just frustrating because I was a competitive poet and I've been very humble about being a competitive poet, yet they always made fun of me where I'm like, give a person to shot to shine. And them breaking their promise with you about Fortnite and other things, like I can't wait to talk about the bullying, but it's just like my first red flag was Nova not letting me do the poetry series where I was gonna let a random admin. We talked, we interviewed. It would have been really good for Furry Valley, having someone interviewing admins and then doing random competitive poetry near the end, and it would have been good publicity and all that stuff. But I couldn't spell that well, so I wasn't that smart to do it at. Am I right, man?
Yeah, obviously, because they have labels for people in Furry Valley. If you're young, they label you as incompetent and incapable of running something. If you're disabled or have disabilities, they label you as stupid.
Mm-hmm. Or if you have a disability and they know how to groom you or how to brainwash you.
hmm
Davis,
Because
Davis. Oh my God, my mouth. Mm.
because personally, I was groomed by Simba, almost
Really?
actually.
Do you have screen shares of that or no?
Unfortunately, it happened in the general chat, so I don't have screenshots of it,
Damn.
but I can retell you what happened. So it was around a day I was like staying home and I don't remember why I was home. I think I had a doctor's appointment for my ADHD. And I come home, and I'm in Furry Valley, and I get a message from Simba in the general chat, and he's like, "Hey, aren't you supposed to be at school?" And I'm like, "No, why?" He's like, "Are you home alone?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why? That's kind of strange." He's like, "Oh, just no reason. I'm just trying to make sure." And I asked him trying to make sure of what, but he never answered me. And that was another big red flag I probably should have noticed.
Mm-hmm. Like how often Simba just pointed out my spelling issues, like, "Oh, you would never be good as a team leader," and I'm like, dude. That's one minute thing. I am quite fucking organized. I
I'm like, just because someone doesn't know can't spell correctly doesn't mean they're not a smart person.
exactly like I was one of the very few people who did 3 panels for FurCon and not cancel anything, where you did. It's just like there was a clear day and night, but obviously this is your story. But obviously, you know,
Oh, on the topic of FurCon, actually,
oh,
this was
oh,
after like my big break with Zavis, and I'll get to that later.
oh,
Um,
God.
so Zavis came to my panel just to like aggravate me. He didn't say anything or congratulate me after. He just sat there the entire time just to make me angry.
That sounds like a thing he would do because it always has to be about him.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it always will be about him because no one ever seems to care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so getting to another topic. I guess I will start with I'll start with one of another large red flag. So one of the times I was there with at me, well, no, let's talk about Davis. So, mm, Davis like relentlessly anyone that he saw as insignificant to him, he would bully,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd always get away with it because Simba just didn't really give a shit because it was just like it's not my problem.
Mm-hmm.
So he always got away with doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they let him do whatever he wanted. Um, yeah, there's Zavis like convinced us all to Zavis convinced us all to basically bully this one member of a team,
Mm-hmm.
and and unfortunately, because they threatened us with our positions in Prairie Valley, another thing we should have realized, we
Mm-hmm.
never actually stopped and thought about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they bribed me with T4 to
Yeah,
stop him.
gaslighting us into doing more work.
Yeah, and I think Fancy, you were there on one of the calls. It was during one of the Pokemon meetings where Dark Flex was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go into the YouTube team," and then he left. And then I think you were there
Hmm?
when I think it was I don't know if it was Aurora or Soto who was like, "Oh, you should go to Nova and tell him about this. You could probably get promoted by suggesting this." Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like suggested to do it for a promotion, and I even did the T4 promotion like crap and everything, and they did not fucking promote me. That was the funny part. And they treated me like a T4.
Yeah.
Like I was more T4 than you, and that was the funny part.
Mm-hmm.
And you were there longer than me, and I was like, "What the fuck is this bullshit?"
I mean, especially when like there was a guy named I'm not gonna name names, no I am. Um his name was Kiba Kaguya. And he joined the server and literally and there's like this thing like in Free Valley, it takes a long time to get promoted.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently for some people only though. People Simba doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he got promoted almost immediately. And within like the first month, he was already T4.
Mm-hmm.
And when we questioned Simba about it, he's just like, "Oh well, he's such an overachiever. We love him so much."
Mm-hmm. And did that make you feel stagnant?
I mean, yeah, with all the work I was doing for him, it was just kind of like, wow. I mean, that was kind of like the final straw for me.
Mm-hmm. My final straw was when Zavis was promoted to T5 and I did not get T4. And then I went for another promotion period and I didn't get it. And I was like, I'm like, you know what? It's time to gather as much information I can on Furry Valley. And if they dare stab me in the back, Tales of Rise was going to be my last series for Furry Valley if they did not promote me. And I was going to pull the plug on them. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're not appreciating my work effort. I do as much work as everybody else here that's a T4, and you're not treating me like a T4. I no longer want you to use my fursuit videos. I no longer want you to use my content. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but you don't
your
respect
Mr.
me.
Compliant wouldn't take down the videos.
Oh no, they would not have complied with me. And it's funny, I have re-recorded my quit video so many times because of so many events happening every time. Like I was about to quit, and then I was just like, Zavis went. You know, Town of Salem has been my project, right? Like everyone and their mom knew. Like no one touches Town of Salem but Fallen, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Zavis decided to give me a strike for training someone on how to fucking do Town of Salem.
yeah, because he claimed that's my business because clearly he always needs to be the center of attention, even when it's none of his business.
Exactly. That was my thing. And then he tried to give me a strike for Truth or Dare, where literally you're not 18, but Truth or Dare was literally a dying thing, and then I managed to bring it back to life by going into the voice chat, by actually bringing life into it, by
And I
actually
mean,
chilling out in voice chat, where that game did not have a voice chat. And I told Simba, hey, this might need a voice chat, but let me talk to Zavis about it. I told Zavis about it. He's like, you went behind my back adding a voice chat. I'm like, no, first I said I had to talk to Zavis about it. And then I was like, well, it accidentally happened where I didn't mean to let it happen. I wanted you to first approve it, but of course, oh my god, I went behind Zavis's back, oh my god, what a crime, I was trying to save a fucking,
yeah,
I was trying to save the thing that was also another project of mine that I accidentally picked up. Again, they never respected me as a admin, and
no,
and I hope
just
that you
used you
can
like you
disclose
were
more.
like a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
And
another thing, like, think about this. This makes a lot of sense in retrospect for if you've ever seen him. One of the first days I was an admin on the Pokemon team, Zavis told us all, I don't even know why he told us this. He goes on and tells us how he was so mentally unstable, they kicked him out of the military and sent him home on leave. And that's why he gets all the benefits that he does. Not in Furry Valley, but like benefits from the government. And I'm just thinking to myself, wow, this is a large red flag. Like, dude, if you're not stable enough for this, what is wrong with you?
exactly, like, and he's
And the fact that you're
very.
just gonna bully a four, I was like only 13 at the time. Like, you're gonna bully a 13-year-old, really, man?
Mm-hmm. And he's gotten away with so many people bullying them. Like, I have, I obviously have Dark Fox, which you obviously can talk about that experience, what you have witnessed with
Yeah,
that. Um, I have someone who I have to keep anonymous, but I have someone else who joined MISC. And I literally had to tell them, her, what they said behind their back in the YouTube team. And I was just like, they were dreading you joining because you had social
yeah,
anxiety. Like they were so two-faced. If you were in someone else's team and they heard how bad you were, it was like a public brainwashing of everyone thought Dark Fox was a bad
like, oh,
admin.
this person was a bad person just because Zavis said so.
Mm-hmm. And when I talked to Dan, when you listen to Dan's interview, you can even hear in Dan like, "Oh, Dark Fox was very depressing," and I was like, "No, that's not the full image, sir." He was very passionate about Pokemon. You could tell that he loved Pokemon. He loved the games, but he didn't get the cues to be quiet, and that's what really
Yeah,
Davis
and Zavis
Davis.
had a thing.
Zavis
where
was
he
like,
was always mad.
mm-hmm,
Zavis, I mean, I was only 13 at the time, and like I have major ADHD and anxiety, and Zavis is always like, "Dude, shut the fuck up," and I'm like, "Man, you're asking a 13-year-old to shut the hell up and not speak over you."
mm-hmm,
And he wouldn't even ask like nicely. He'd just tell me to shut the hell up or kick me
mm-hmm,
out of the voice chat,
mm-hmm,
and always be like, "Dude, what's your issue?" And he'd never verbally say, "Can you just please not talk over me?" He'd just be like, "Dude, what's your problem? Just shut up."
mm-hmm.
I
And
mean, along with the times he called me freaking ugly and a weirdo.
mm-hmm. I don't know how the hell Zero and him ended up as a thing. That's the whole. Although that relationship was very shortly lived.
Yeah. So next thing, um, I mean, we're talking about I joined this team for a little bit before
mm-hmm,
you joined.
mm-hmm,
And I was accused of not doing my work, and which wasn't true because I was slowly doing my work because I was so caught up with doing stuff for school and doing like readying for summer, readying
mm-hmm,
for like coming back to school after summer. So I had stuff to worry about. And
mm-hmm,
they're just like, well, that's not our problem. You're not doing your work. And the
mm-hmm,
same thing they said, the reason I got kicked out of Pokemon was because, oh, you're not doing your work. And I'm like, I was doing my work, and Aurora just framed it to look like I wasn't doing my work. Because of course,
mm-hmm.
Simba will believe her over everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I told Aurora about how DBD was being run by the terrible team leader, and actually DBD is no longer part of Ferric Valley anymore. And I told her, I'm like, this person is not putting any organization in DBD. If you have listened to my videos, literally, she thought a bad player report was more important than trying to have a pre-written structure for a question of the day. More important than having structure for how to do LFGs, everything perfectly written out so there were no spelling mistakes. They thought a bad player report was more important than that. They literally were doing such minute things where I'm like, we need order or else our team will fail. And then the team obviously failed. I was kicked out
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
kick them out. I tried to kick them out because they weren't doing their fucking job at putting any order in there. They were a terrible team leader, and everyone was like, "You're the reason why you got kicked out." I'm like, "No, it was the team leader's fault, and you're giving me bad advice that got me kicked out, you dumbass."
Yeah. And I mean, they always framed it to be like, oh, it's always your fault.
No,
Even
and
though,
you
even
have
though
to
we did
agree
it, it's
though.
still clearly your fault.
Yeah, you have to agree though. That's the shitty part is that you have to agree to what they're saying, or else they'll be like, I don't know if you can still be an admin." And I like me not getting DVD
Yeah, you
team
can have
lead.
your own opinion.
Yeah, I literally spent hours on my comp app writing about DBD and how skilled I was in DBD without giving away who I was. I literally spent hours, days on that thing.
Yeah,
Sent it.
and then they told you that you need to stop playing because, oh, you're gonna get too skilled, and then that's not fair.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, you have to stop playing because you're no longer part of the DBD admin team, and it would not be fair." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "What is this bullshit?" Like, and I wasn't allowed to do any more videos about DBD. They threatened to take down my You're Fired series and not having any credit for that. They threatened to like do several other things. I'm like, hold the damn phone. Like, this is not fair. I am passionate about DBD. I like DBD. You see how skilled I am in DBD, not as a survivor, but it's just like, this is
Yeah,
bullshit. Like, it's like
killer.
they promised you Fortnite. Did they give you Fortnite?
Yeah, they promised me the Fortnite team. Simba was always like, if you, I'll give you the Fortnite team, but of course he always just threatened me. He's like, you better do this better, and I never was able to. And then he kicked me out and gave Fortnite to someone else who obviously
Mm-hmm.
failed it.
And they gave Frosty team lead. Frosty!
Who?
Exactly, Frosty, one of the worst admins ever in that
Sorry,
server.
I'm not very good with names, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they gave fucking Frosty a shot over me. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? That's such an insult to me. I'm like, I'm a lot smarter than fucking Frosty. I had a fucking organization, I had everything ready. I was like, yo, if I was a team leader of DBD, their perception of me being an idiot would have been crushed. And I think that's why they didn't want me as DBD team lead, is that they knew I could fucking do it and do it fucking well.
Because they didn't want you to be like, they didn't want you to like be better than them because, well, that's not very good. If you're better than them, what is the point?
Yeah, and they had this very specific thought bubble of me. You have said it a couple times that they thought I was dumb, and
Yeah,
it.
they have this like view of people. They label you and they're like, oh, you're too young, you're a failure, but you're
Mm-hmm.
smart. And it's just like, and another thing is like, I was like probably online to be the Roblox team lead too, and unfortunately, I got accused of not doing my work, and literally that very
Mm-hmm.
same day, I was literally had an event to host, but no, apparently that's not true because Simba actually deleted it from the spreadsheet that day.
Yeah, my last week, I had a Warframe event, Truth or Dare, in town of Salem. Davis gave me a strike for doing what I needed to do to keep life in my events. Like, I'm sorry that you weren't doing what your job as a team leader is to do, is to make sure events go well that you don't host. But I know nothing about how to fucking host. Like, you're amazing, you're almighty. You know it all. Whatever. And so, literally, I was doing things to breathe life into things, make sure that people can trust me with things. And they're like, "Oh, I can't trust you anymore. You went behind my back." And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah,
Like, literally, my notes on him was, "We'll black stab you faster than you can say oops."
yeah, pretty
Because
much.
he'll
And
give
like,
you he'll give you his word and then stab you in the back with his own words. I'm like, how the fuck can you do that in the same sentence?
yeah, but it's possible if your name is Zavis.
Mm-hmm. And he's gonna be a T6. That's the bullshit part,
Uh,
is that no matter how much you say that he bullied you, no matter how much I said, "Oh, he told me that Fancy was the worst admin he has ever met,"
it's kind
no
of
matter
like,
how much
well,
evidence you put
he's
against him.
disabled. You gotta feel bad for him.
But
But
I
to
had a
be
spelling
honest, I
issue, and they had
really
no issue
don't.
with that. They had no issue with discriminating against that. Like, that's a double standard right there. And also swindling me for money after an 80-hour shift. After an 80-hour shift, after how many times he had said he did not like me in public and in private.
Didn't Zavis try to steal money from you?
Yes, and it's everybody knows that Davis fucking hated my guts. Like, this is not yesterday's
Yeah,
news. Like, I'm not delusional. Am I right, Fancy? How often does he shit talk about me until you were no longer an
like
admin?
it's not anything new. It's obvious.
I think he was jealous because I did. Since you're a minor, how do I state this?
You know what? It's probably nothing I've never heard before, so it doesn't really matter.
Adult content. How about that? And he was
Yeah,
jealous
sure, we
that,
can go with that. Yeah,
yeah,
don't act like I don't know what it is though.
adult content with
Yeah,
quotation
sure.
marks. There we
Yeah,
go.
sure.
Yeah, sure. So he was jealous because of that, because, oh no, he didn't think of that
That's good enough for me.
beforehand. Yeah.
But
Mm.
I mean, flashed me once and then tried to cover up the fact that she never did it. And I sticked her at the time, so I covered for her. I said, no, she never did it. But she did it. I don't think she meant to do it, but she did it still.
And that's flashing a minor. That's flashing a minor.
Yeah.
And she's a
I mean,
T6.
I only covered her because, like, I only covered for her because I still liked her at that point. Not but I liked her as a friend. And now
Mm-hmm.
I see that she's great.
Yeah, and that's the shitty part, is that I feel like Nova's gonna step down, or he's gonna get Simba's gonna find some bullshit reason to remove Nova, and Aurora's gonna become the co-lead. That's what my predictions are gonna be. Is that Nova's gonna be replaced. Obviously Zero's gonna be the next T6 with Zavis. Zavis does not like me because I stopped him from becoming a comms admin because fucking he was doing too much work, and then I exposed him for being a bully, and so he was just pissed off that him requesting me for money, knowing that he could not do that as an admin, and it's a
because you
very
can't
strict
have all.
rule. And
Uh-huh.
and it's funny that he went away with a slap on the wrist, but the second that I try to do something to show that I am competent and can do something, I get removed because I'm like, you know what, I'm quitting. And they're like, no, you were removed. I was like, no, I was not removed. I quit. And I made
Because
sure.
they tried to say that you were removed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was removed.
We're doing bad stuff. I'm like, no.
No.
Uh-uh.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, when it comes to think of it, like, I mean, do we want to go into the whole pet play thing between like Midnight, Simba, and McCabe?
Oh my god.
Because I was there when that whole thing went down in the big voice chat with Simba.
Oh
Because
my.
I think you were at work when that happened.
Yes. T T T T T T T.
Yeah, so that day, Simba announces Midnight has been banned, and we're all just like, okay, cool, why? And turns out Midnight, Simba, and also McCabe was banned for the same reason as well. What the hell is that? McCabe is banned for the same reason as well because McCabe and Simba had like a thing going on where they were like did like a pet play sexual role play together, and yeah, they got caught exposed, and then Simba took none of the blame for it and blamed McCabe and banned him because that's what you gotta do. You gotta make those noble choices. Like, man, you gotta if you're such a great leader, you gotta sacrifice all of the peasants, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and if you're wondering, like the YouTube channel is not all that. Like he asked us to click open the links and just have the playlist open for hours and just watch it to get Furry Valley to get paid for ad revenue.
And I was bribed to actually, I was also bribed again for T4, if I pushed it so hard on FurCon. Why do you think I was pushing the fucking YouTube team so fucking hard during FurCon? All of a
I mean,
sudden.
probably because they were bribing you. I mean, same thing with like when I was a part of the cinematics team for like a literal week
Mm-hmm.
because this happened. Um, so I was a part of cinematics team after I got removed from Pokemon,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I was removed from Pokemon for literally doing my work because like I never did my work. And then the first strike was for bullying Dark Fox, even though I wasn't doing it. It was Zavis, and he framed it on me. And, and after that happened, I joined Cinematics, and Cinematics team Kree ran. I don't know if he still runs. All I know is that Kree is a drifter who lives in his car, her car. Sorry, I don't want to be rude. Um, and yeah, Kree kicked me out on the first literal event that I had to run because I had an emergency and I had to have my co-host host it. Even though I literally told Kree and he's like and she I told my co-host, I told Kree and they're like, yeah, that's fine. And then Kree's like, sorry, you're kicked from the cinematics team.
Mm. Typical Furry Valley.
It's just like really
Mm-hmm.
man, what did I do for this one this time? It's just like I didn't even do anything this time. It's like I had an emergency, I had to leave, so it's like it's not my fault. But of course, it somehow always is my fault.
I know.
I mean, the time this was the time they were gaslighting me really bad for T4. I they gave us audits to do, and
Oh,
for
those
each of our sections,
bullshits. Oh
and
no.
for Roblox we had I think 222 of them, and I was really looking for approval because I was being gaslit heavily by Simba. This was towards the end, and this was right before I was going on vacation, and I did all 222 of them, and So I then when I came back from vacation, I had a problem with my computer and I couldn't like message the people. And I expressed this to Simba, and he said, "Well, figure it out, make it work." And I'm like, "I can't." Ugh. He's like, "Well, that's not my work, not my job." And I never could. And then I know that was a major reason why I got like removed, even though I couldn't literally help what happened because it wasn't my fault that my computer broke.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not my fault. And he's just like, well, you better figure out a way to make it work.
Mm-hmm. And
And I'm
it's
just like, yeah. And that was around the time when I finally got removed, which he blamed like me for that, which was all his fault. So,
uh, yeah, it's just
I mean, just like speaking on behalf of other people, which is kind of rude to do, but like, I mean, like, some we witnessed like some of our friends literally get like kicked out in front of like our own eyes and like so I'm not gonna like expose their name, but I will say like what happened because I don't want to ruin their privacy.
mm-hmm.
So this person, they got removed from admin before for a reason that I'm not aware of, but I think it was probably Zavis's fault, judging on the way that he reacted when it happened. Because he was like so happy, he's like, "Oh yeah, she's gone, yes." And um, yeah. So this person, she was removed for missing her event, and it wasn't even really her fault. And we told them, and they're just like, "So it's not our problem." As the per usual answer is of "It's not our problem." And Zavis told us, "Well, she used to do this when she used to be an admin. Like, don't fall for this. She used to do this kind of thing. This is the exact same reason she got kicked out the first time." And I'm like, "Sure."
I know who you're
I
talking
mean,
about. Damn.
yeah, and he always treated us like crap. So,
Ain't he a great team lead?
I mean, when it actually came to the FurCon with Pokemon stuff, um,
He had
he
overlapping events.
huh?
He had overlapping events.
That's not what I was trying to make the point of that too, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was asking us all what we wanted to do for the FurCon, for what roles, I asked him like a multitude of times, oh, if like, oh, that would be really cool. Could I do the Poke Talk or the trivia thing? He's like, oh, well, you're not really good enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what? It's like, what do you mean? Well, that's for like, and he was like, that's for like actually good admins. So, and you're not one of them. So, unfortunately, no. Yeah. So that was what I got when I tried to be a part of the FurCon. And when I asked to be part of the other things, he was just like, no, no. And he always like made it a big point to exclude me from whatever we were doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was removed shortly after saying no to that money, and he removed me from Talk and everything. Like, if you weren't treating me like shit and you weren't so suspicious, I would have probably fell for his shit. But nope.
I mean, he always got away with it because everybody's like, "Oh, he would never do that. He's such a sweet angel. What are you talking about? Why are you talking about that? He would never."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had us like go on a freaking like blocking spree of people who were banned from Furry Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was blocking them, I read their stories, and I'm like, oh, this all makes sense now.
Because they exposed what the fuck happened.
Yeah, but it's almost. I mean, to be honest, like what you said, it's literally a cult.
It is.
It's literally just a freaking cult because you have to act a way. You don't get no opinion. If you don't agree with them, then you're out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's really unfortunate because like why everybody should be entitled to their own opinions, even if you don't always agree. That's literally the way life works. Just because freaking Furry Valley is run by someone who believes they're a lion and is mentally ill. And I mean, unfortunately, these types of people are the ones that exist in real life that we have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And they get away with everything because people believe that, oh, they're mental. They would never do such a thing. But it's true, they would do these things because people, when they put on this facade that they're stupid, they believe that they can get away with literally anything that they want.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything
Because,
else to say?
I mean, let me think. I mean, I have so many stories. Um, Let me think. Um, I mean, I know you've probably seen the one with Dan or Danny's. And if you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, I mean, they always like joked about Danny's, and he still thinks it's a joke that they would always make fun of him, but they always said, no, no, he's such a weirdo. Like, what is wrong with him? Because they didn't like him. And yeah, even like Simba made fun of him so much. I mean, honestly, I think I was like really getting mega groomed by Simba, especially because the way he'd always talk to me, he'd always be like, he's like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. Like, I regard you so highly. Like, you're doing so good, man." I'm like, it's like, dude, chill out, because you can't say those kinds of things without repercussions, and especially the fact that like Simba went on this whole rant one time about like this has nothing to do with that before, but he went on a whole rant about people being zoophiles and them being like bad people, and then there's literally like proof online that he is one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he literally talks about like vor and porn in front of children, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
sir, that's not okay. Um, but he literally thinks since he's the owner, anything can go because he's the head honcho. He's in charge of what goes on because as long as he's in charge, nothing else can get past him because he makes the rules.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, like disgusting, like all the discrimination against all these people. And it's just like, dude, man, you're probably defenseless behind that computer screen, literally. Like, the only reason that you are able to talk like you're so cool is because you're hiding behind a screen. And just like, don't give me the sympathetic bullshit. Don't act like, oh, but I'm such a nice guy. I would never do such a thing. don't give me that because you did it. This proof, and all you can do now is deny that you did it, which everyone knows is not true because that's all you do at this point is deny it. I mean, best in your best defense, the best point of action for Simba to do at this point is literally to just give up Furry Valley to someone else and leave.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really disgusting that someone thought, I mean, obviously they had a better facade of him, that they thought he was a good person, that they thought that Simba was a mentally capable enough to own Furry Valley. And I'm like, really? Like, who thought that he was gonna be able to own Furry Valley and not do stupid stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, because he acts like he can do whatever he wants and just does it. And he was
Mm-hmm.
always just like, yeah, so what? I'm not gonna get in trouble for it because, you know, me. I mean, if I think about it, like, they'd always just like ask for people to like be on TikTok for them because they were running out of viewers for viewership. And it's just like, maybe that you should have realized that nobody literally cares about you and there's a reason, but no. It's like, if you're running out of viewership, there's a reason that nobody cares about you
Mm-hmm.
because you have some form of major issue that you're not taking care of and you're denying exists when clearly it does. And the more you don't acknowledge it, the worse it's gonna get. But of course, in Simba's mind, that doesn't matter at all because Furry Valley's perfect just the way he likes it. A freaking cult where everyone follows his every beck and call.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, dude, take a freaking slice of reality for a second, man. Like, not everyone loves you, especially not the people in real life. I mean, to be honest, you only probably have friends in a video game or over Discord. You probably have nobody in real life. Just being completely honest, which
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really doesn't really make me honestly. It doesn't disappoint because you don't seem like you'd be the kind of person who would have that. I'm rambling, aren't I?
Now you can still talk, but we do have to end
Yeah.
this once we hit the 45-minute mark
When's that?
in a couple minutes.
Okay. Um, and it's like thinking about all the harassment I've taken. It's just like, man, like, come on, you're better than this. You can act like a civil human being and not be a freaking psychopath. And start with apologizing to people that you've done wrong and like acknowledging it because like I'm sure those people are waiting for an apology
He'll do
and
that once cows fly.
I mean you're just gonna sit there and act like you deserve an apology when it's very clear that you do not deserve anything.
Mm-hmm.
The most you deserve is freaking like honestly nothing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't acknowledge the mistakes that you've made and there's this great a number of mistakes, like it's obvious you need to change your ways, but clearly that's not going to happen because you believe you're some great lion who's like everybody loves. And yeah, but take a reality check. Nobody likes you, man. Like, sure, people at first may think may think that you're such a cool guy, but once they get, like, a check or once they get, like, to see who you really are, no one likes you, like,
Mm-hmm.
or anyone affiliated with Furry Valley, like, you're preaching a message that it's okay to bully minors and put minors through grooming and teaching children that, "Oh, this feeling of, like, being groomed by an adult, that's completely normal. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, well, you have 2 more minutes. Any last words you want to say, or any proof you want to send me? So when I edit this all up, we have some juicy tea while people who are listening, drink it up.
I can send you some pictures after before you
But
upload this because I gotta get pictures from. Oh yeah, I got one more thing. Actually, I mean they always try to make it seem like there's literally no favoritism in Furry Valley, but it's actually quite contrary because if you think about it, like when I was through in Furry Valley, there was a senior admin that really, well, not senior, but tier 6 that hated me, like hated my gut. Soto, like for some reason, it didn't matter what argument was, if I was right or not, he'd always take the other person's side, no matter what.
Soto is a
And
creature
it
of.
always infuriated me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally a sum up, so I mean, I hope you like heed this warning and just don't join Furry Valley.
Yeah, don't. Well, thank you so much, Fancy, for taking the time to do this interview. You are going to be seen as a hero. You are not a villain. Um, and just be prepared to block everybody. And get prepared to be doxxed.
I could care less because I'm probably moving soon, so yeah, they could suck it.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.